You're listening to the 20% Podcast, powered by the 20% Collective, a community of trailblazing women financial advisors redefining what it means to build a firm on your terms. No fluff, no ego. Just bold conversations, fresh perspectives, and real-world strategies to help you lead, grow, and own your success. This is the 20% Podcast.
Hi, I'm Cathy Curtis, founder of Curtis Financial Planning and co-founder of the 20% Collective. I'm so excited for you to hear from today's guest, Cary Carbonaro, a woman who refuses to accept the way it's always been. In a profession that's still predominantly male, Cary has made a career out of breaking barriers, amplifying women's voices, and challenging an industry to do better. She's not waiting for permission or progress. She's creating both. Cary is the author of Women and Wealth, a playbook to empower clients and unlock their fortune, a CFP Board Ambassador, and the first female to be appointed to the Nasdaq Advisor Council. Yet what makes Cary so extraordinary isn't just her resume. It's her conviction that women deserve a better experience with money, whether that's as clients, advisors, or leaders. In this episode, we talk about the slow pace of change in wealth management, why more women entering the field isn't enough, and how empathy, education, and communication can completely reshape how financial advice is delivered. Cary also shares how she reclaimed her voice after being silenced in a corporate setting, what it means to lead with authenticity, and how showing up again and again can open the doors that were never meant to stay shut. If you've ever felt underestimated or outnumbered, this conversation is your reminder that influence isn't granted, it's built. Cary is proof that when women take the mic, the entire industry shifts. Settle in and get ready to be inspired by one of the fiercest advocates for women in wealth. Here's my conversation with the unstoppable Cary Carbonaro. Welcome to the 20% Podcast, Cary. I am so thrilled that you're on. You're one of our first guests, And I tell you what, I can't think of a better person to have early on this newly launched podcast, because you have been an outspoken and extremely active advocate for women in this industry for years. And in both sides, bringing women into the industry and trying to make the industry more friendly for female clients, which is what your latest book is about. You've worked for many, many firms. You have a very interesting background in history with some trauma in it, which we'll get into a little bit. And so welcome.
Thank you. And it's so amazing because we have, as women in the industry, I feel like we're like a sisterhood, that we all help each other and we cheer each other on. And we've been friends and admirers of each other for so many years. And then we literally just met a couple of years ago, and it's been incredible. And now you're part of my life.
I know. I love that. And you know what? In prep for this interview, I've listened to some other podcasts. I am really amazed how much we have in common. One is I was very close to my dad. He wasn't a money manager like your dad, but he inspired me to care about money. I used to play a game called Important Papers. I would play like I was playing business because that's what he did, writing checks out and stuff. And it reminded me of you in that way so much. And I always have paid attention to money, early 401k investor, all the things you talk about. I always knew the right things to do, and I knew how important it was, and where a lot of other people just didn't. And my firm is very female-centric. I think 90% of my clients are women like you. One other similarity, I started out as a marketer, and I've always marketed myself and never hired a lot of help like you. So we have a lot in common. So anyway, you have said that your life's work is trying to make this industry more female-friendly. And it has been slow. I mean, admittedly slow by everyone. That 20% number, that's why we named it 20%, seems to stick. Why do you think that is? I know you've seen progress. I want to hear about what progress you have seen. And what more can we do?
So it's interesting because we actually have a denominator problem, and that is that the older white men of the industry are not leaving. They're staying. They're staying longer and longer and longer, which means the number is not changing on top because people are working into their 80s, into their 90s. So eventually those numbers are going to increase because
Wait, into their 90s?
yes, there's some people in their 90s working. I don't know why, but they are. Well, this is the kind of job that you can actually do later in life. As long as you have your mental health and physical health, and you don't need that much. You really need your mental health more than anything else, and your brain power and no cognitive decline. You get better with age in this profession. So it's one of these things where you can just keep doing. And so a lot of original planners, which are 80% men, 20% women, they are staying, and they're just staying longer and longer, as long as they possibly can. So, but the good news is we're bringing in all the people that are taking the tests now. There's a lot more females taking the test than are showing up in the numbers. So that's the progress. And the fact that we're holding ourselves out there as a role model for these women coming in, and all these great organizations supporting them, like Rock the Street Wall Street and WLA, which is Women's Leadership Alliance. There's so many great organizations to support women once they get into the profession. And then the CFP board has mentoring matching as well. So there's a lot of great things in the industry to get women in and keep them in. But that's just the 20% issue. That's not addressing making the industry female friendly for the clients. That's another whole entire issue.
Well, okay, but I can argue, though, that as more women enter the industry, and that's very encouraging to hear about the testing results, that it will become more female friendly to the client. It has to.
Well, so I believe that it will become more female friendly when women are controlling the nation's wealth, which is a mere 4 years away. Right. And it's so interesting because as part of my CFP board keynote last week in Chicago, one of the things I said was, why do you think the industry is so slow to change? And I got a million different answers in a word cloud. But I think the issue is when women are going to be controlling the nation's wealth, which is, super close. We're in the midst of it right now, and it's starting to happen. I believe that women will demand more from their advisors. They're going to demand empathy, education, respect, empowerment, all of the stuff that they may or may not be getting today. So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to help male advisors understand women better and also have their experiences with women be raised to the next level and just not have those terrible experiences that we hear about all the time from women, because they leave those advisors and come to us. So we have heard these stories for decades.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hoping too, because what I'm all about is bringing more women into the industry as advisors. So hopefully, if men do more of the work to make their firms more female friendly in general to the clients and to the women in them, it's going to improve our industry 100%. Because I know in your book, you talk a lot about how to communicate. And I think communicating with clients can be very similar to communicating with your staff and your female staff, and understanding your female staff and not putting them into a box and looking at their potential, giving them opportunity, the whole thing. It has to help. So I appreciate you writing that book very much for a lot of reasons that you may not have thought of, about men becoming more communicative in a way that women understand and more empathetic.
Yes, well, exactly. I mean, we know that the industry is already 80-20. Will it change over time? Yes, it's incredibly slow, but it will. But in the meantime, women deserve a great experience in wealth management. And so that's what I want to happen. And men can do it too. It's so interesting because, every once in a while you'll get a troll out there saying, Cary says that only women should only want to work with women. And I said, Cary never said that ever. I never said that. Like, I don't know where anybody is picking that up from, but never did those words utter out of my mouth. I believe that women should be working with people that understand them, men or women. And I just want to create a roadmap or a playbook to help that and facilitate that.
Excellent. So let's talk about breaking some barriers. It's hard to break barriers in the financial industry because of men, but but you have broken a couple. And one of them is you were appointed to the Nasdaq Advisor Council. So I hear the word Nasdaq and I think stock market and New York and male domination and all those things. So first off, how did you break that barrier? And what perspectives are you bringing to that table that will help women in the industry?
So such a good question. And what's so interesting is everybody always wants to know, how did you get on it? How do you and I just feel like right place, right time, and advocating for myself. So I'll tell you the story. So I was speaking at I was actually supposed to speak at a conference, Invest in Women, in Palm Beach. It was, I think, 2 years ago. And I was already speaking at it. And then I got a call to speak at the conference beforehand, which was Rick Edelman's something with crypto. And I said, why would you want me to speak about that? Like, that's not my area of expertise. And they said, no, we want you to talk about the great wealth transfer as it relates to women and longevity. And I said, okay, I can talk about that. And they said, you'll be on the stage with Rick Edelman. And I said, great. And so I had it was a great conversation. It was a nice panel, nice speech. And I enjoyed myself. And then I got invited that evening to go out to dinner with Nasdaq. And when I was out with Nasdaq, they said, we're going to start an advisory council. And I said, I would like to throw my hat in the ring for that. And then I got a call 2 weeks later, or email from the person who is heading it, who's a woman. And she said, we want you. You're perfect for this assignment. And by the way, you're the only woman. And I said, okay. And then I said, what, are we going to change that? And she said, yes. And so the first thing she said was, can you recommend somebody? And so the first year it was just me. And then the second year I recommended somebody and they brought 3 other women on. So now there's 5 of us, year 2.
Great to hear. Okay. Okay. I have so many thoughts about this story you just told. One is showing up at places. So many things happen when you get out there and show up, just like you just described. You were at a conference. It was unrelated to NASDAQ, but you went out to dinner. You sat next to someone. You started talking, kind of like how we met. And then since then, you've kindly invited me to be on a couple of panels, and we've been to conferences together. I can't tell you how many times something as good has happened to me because I've showed up somewhere like a conference. So that's one thing I want to leave for women listening to this is, don't hide behind your desk, no matter how busy you are. If you want things to happen, make time to go out to conferences, talk to people, get to know people. Cary is a master at this. So thank you for sharing that story. So let me ask you, when you meet and you're talking, what are the topics in that kind of a group?
Well, so it's interesting because it depends so we just had our in-person meeting last week and we talked about cybersecurity. We talked about marketing. We talked about different strategies that they're thinking of marketing, different indexes that they're thinking of marketing. And then we also get, from their head person who's in charge of the markets. So we get like a download of what's going on in the industry and, the tariffs and the everything related to the new big, beautiful bill. And so it's pretty much, we get a little bit of flavor of everything, but sometimes they even bring us in the people who are picking who's going to be listing on the exchange and what they have to go through. And that incredible information that and they want our opinion as an advisor on everything.
So you're bringing the female perspective in on all those issues.
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about running a successful firm, because I think of you as with your advocacy role, but you are also a financial advisor, and you have clients, and you have a nice sized firm. And so I just want to ask you this. So you've been through a lot of different firms, and I know you know the way you want to run your firm. You have certain values and goals, and you feel very strongly about it. When you look back, what was the boldest no you ever said to protect your personal values and goals when it comes to running your own business?
I cannot work at Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
It goes against every fiber in my being.
And okay, give me what I know about that experience with you and why it was so bad is they shut you down. They shut your voice down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I feel like it was more than shutting. So, it's interesting because me and you are talkers. We're influencers. We have a lot to say. We have a lot to bring to the industry. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I want to do is, go on social media or share my opinion or speak or write or go on TV or something related to reaching out to the public and touching, people. And from the minute I walked in the door, they said, you can't speak, you can't write, you can't go on social media, you can't have an opinion, you can't go on TV. You have to sit down and babysit your clients. Sit down, shut up, and babysit your clients is what I was told. And I was like, what is happening? Like, literally what is happening to me right now? Like, I felt like I was like, I know this is really terrible, but I mean, I felt like I was, first of all, punished. But then right after this happened, COVID happened. So here I am, isolated, alone, by myself, obviously with my husband, but still, the world is crashing around me and I can't do anything. I can't say anything. I can't speak. I can't write. I can't get clients because I can't even hold myself out as an advisor.
This is all to do with their compliance rules, right? This is really about compliance. Every advisor in the firm was to play by these rules.
Yes, correct.
You use your marketing only. That's it. Only the pieces that we approve, all that.
Oh, I couldn't even use their marketing, but that's another story. So it was really funny. There was this one time where they said, we're going to let you post on social media. You can post, but you can't respond. And I said, that's like calling a phone call and not being able to respond to the message. It's one-way communication. I said, the whole point of social media is it's social. You're communicating. It's a two-way street. You're going back and forth. And so they were like, nope, if you want to do it, it's one way and one way only. And I said, then I'm not doing it.
How did you regain your professional freedom after that experience? What did you quit? Did you look for something while you were still working? How did you handle that?
No, it's a very complicated story. I write about it in chapter 1 of my book. I'm giving you the really short version. It's actually a very long story and I don't want to take up all the time talking about it.
You know how we could talk about it that I think might be helpful to the listener is, okay, so other women listening to this are going to be considering joining firms, right? If they're not going to start their own RIA, they're going to be employed by somebody. What are the lessons that you learned in that experience that you could share that may prevent that kind of culture clash from the beginning?
Well, I would feel, and it's interesting because I kept saying to myself, if I was right out of college, if I was, 21, 22, 23 years old, and all I knew was Goldman, it would have been a different experience for me because I would have just followed what they told me to do. I wouldn't have known anything different. I wouldn't have had a brand outside of them. So that's what they want. They want you to be completely dependent on them and their brand. So me coming in with a brand and a name and a following is exactly what they did not want. So right from the beginning, they were like, we're shutting this down. We need you to need us and not the other way. Like you have to, clients are going to come to you because you're Goldman. And I'm like, no. Clients are going to come to me because I'm me. And they said, no.
Yeah. This is a major misunderstanding in the industry. I mean, you can build your own brand as an independent advisor.
Well, and what I will say, based on my experience, and again, both of us, Kath, are both on the RIA side, which is Registered Investment Advisory side, versus the broker-dealer side of the world. And I always chose to go on the fee-only side or the RIA side. For me, because I wanted to be fiduciary, I wanted to be fee only, and I also wanted to control more of the marketing. And I feel like also in my experience that RIAs are more female friendly than broker dealer world is. Just my experience.
Okay, that's an interesting observation. Okay. I never thought about it that way, but and is that because most of the broker dealer management are men, or what do you attribute that to?
Maybe it's just the old bro culture. Maybe it's because it's the way they've always done it. It's the way it's always been. It's women maybe don't know where their place is in that world. And again, this is not a blanket statement against every single organization. It's just my limited experience from, I worked in mutual funds. I was head of marketing for Lord Abbett mutual funds. And so that was my experience with the broker dealer world. And then when I decided to go out on my own and start my own RIA, I knew I wanted to be fee only and not be in that broker dealer world.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm an advocate for women starting their own RIAs, actually, which is daunting to a lot of people. But I think in this world, it's not near as hard as it used to be, because you've got plug-in platforms like XYPN and all those kind of things. So if you're a woman looking for independence in all ways, including how you speak and your voice and your marketing, that's an excellent path.
It is. There's also my friend Bridget Grimes has Equita, which is another also women platform also.
Yes, which was developed out of this desire to do things the way women want to do them, culturally and every other way. It's pretty fascinating.
There's a lot of opportunity. I always say when women, and the other thing I say when I meet the young girls who are coming into the profession, there's a couple things I like to say to them. I say, like, do you want to be a finder or a minder? And I feel like it's two separate skill sets and they're both needed. Finder is harder and you're going to get paid more, but minder is just as good and also needed just as much because somebody needs to take care of everything.
Okay, to explain that further, what's a finder and what's a minder?
So a finder is a rainmaker. So we're the ones going out and getting the clients. And that is 100% the hardest job. It's why most people get frustrated in this industry, because it is so hard to get clients. At least it is for most people. Not for us, but it is for most people. Because we're great marketers, it's not hard for us. And because we have a voice and we're doing what, we are who we say we are. We're doing what we say we do. We are our own brand promise, so we don't have any issues with that. However, that is the most difficult thing being a financial planner or advisor, is getting clients. And that's where most people struggle. So getting clients is the finder role. Minder is somebody who's going to take care of all those clients. And so I have my number two who takes care of all the clients because I'm bringing the clients in. Of course, I take care of them as well, but prepping the work, doing the financial plans, doing all the analysis, getting things ready for me so I can show up to a meeting with everything in hand. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And it's a different skill set, exactly like you're saying. So if you had two finders, there would be a clash. If you're going to build a partnership, you really got to keep that in mind. did you go through several people before you found your perfect minder, or?
No, I've been very, very lucky. I've had the same person with me for 16 years, actually. Almost right out of college, I got him.
Yeah, that's a long track record. Good for you. Let's talk about marketing, because I know you love it. And I heard you say once that you're a marketer first and a CFP second, a very bold statement. You have an MBA in marketing, and it's your first love. So I know this is because most people who become financial advisors are not coming from a marketing background. I came from a marketing background. That's unusual in this industry. And so people struggle, like you were just saying, to get clients and how to reach out, what to do. I just want to say, let's say you are going to start a class and all your students are women RIAs and they all are struggling with marketing. What would your syllabus look like?
Some of the girls that I mentor are struggling with that, and they, trying to find their niche and trying to find all of that, and I always say, go with who you are. So I remember somebody telling me maybe 20 years ago, your client base is going to mirror you, like almost exactly. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's the case, but here I am 20 years later, and I am an exact replica of my clients. So my average client makes $1 million, has a net worth of over 10 million. And I'm like, oh yeah, same as me. So like, we're in the same, we're the same. So now, was it always that way? I don't know. Did it develop that way over time? I work with who I want to work with. I am who I am, and I get attracted to me, people who are like me. I feel like attracts like. So that's, to me, the easiest way to get clients. So I have one woman that I'm mentoring right now, and she is LGBT. And I said to her, why wouldn't that be your niche? And she's like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. And I'm like, you do what you know. You do what you're comfortable with. So for me, I'm working with high earning women, making a lot of money with big jobs, and, who want me to simplify their life, make it easier for them. They should trust me to take care of things for them, to make, so that I can handle their whole financial life for them and just ease so that they can sleep at night better. And so that's what I do for them. That's my job.
And, that's such a great piece of advice, because it's easy. Like you said, why make this hard? I know it's true in my case too. I was single for longer than a lot of people. I got married first when I was 44. I had built up my own wealth prior to meeting my husband. I have lots of experience being an independent woman managing her own finances. So most of my clients are single women or women who lead the family finances. I'm comfortable in that space. I'm comfortable giving advice to those kind of people. I feel really authentic when I'm doing it. I feel like I can add value. So very similar to what you're saying. And I think even new advisors, if they looked at their client base, I bet they would see a lot of similarities. If they got 30 clients, probably 20 of them have similarities, and they don't even realize it.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is, you want to be, it's just human nature. You want to be around people that are like you. So, that's the spot, that's the play, that's the sandbox you should be in. You should be in what's the most comfortable.
Okay. So this is an interesting conversation, because we're saying men need to get more women clients because of the great wealth transfer, but people like to be around people that are more like them. And, there's a lot to that. So maybe that's one of the reasons why the industry is the way it is too, because we are herd, humans are herd people. They want to go with who they're comfortable with. So that's a big hurdle we've all got to jump over.
Well, and just to let you know, I had this happen to me and I was quite shocked. But, because of unconscious bias and implicit bias, which is in the world, and I have a whole chapter on it in my book, but I have heard a client of mine who was a woman I had one year, this is at United Capital back in the day, and we had given these beautiful Amex cards that they look like black cards, and it was for an hour or 2 hours of my time, and that was like a gift that they were giving to like relatives or family members, and it was a great little promo thing that we did. And she gave it to her best friend, and her best friend said, "There's no way I would ever work with a woman. A man can take care of money better than a woman can."
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And I was devastated, but that's still out there. That's still out.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. There's no doubt that is still out there. Okay. So, besides this easy one about find clients like you, what would be the next step you would tell a woman to help market herself and brand herself?
So first you have to figure out who you are, what you stand for, what your niche is, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to say? So I always said, and this is an interesting story, but I have never cold called. I never solicited clients. I've never given my card to people and said, here, if you're interested, talk to me. Never have done that in my entire career. What I've done is I've written materials. I've held myself out as this is what I do for a living. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me. You can Google me and find my information. I have never paid for an advertisement. I have never put an ad in anything. I have written, spoken to, been in magazines and newspaper articles and talking to the press about what I do for a living, and given value added there. I have done a lot on divorce because I went through a terrible divorce. And because of that, it gives me incredible knowledge to the process of divorce. So I am not an IDFA, but I know just as much as them. As a matter of fact, I even went through the curriculum and said to see if I needed to get it. And I said, no, I don't need to get it. I already know everything. But because people have said to me, I think I want to focus on working with divorce people. And I said, well, then you've got to get that certification on top of your CFP so that you really do know it, even if you haven't gone through it yourself. But I feel like because I have and what I went through puts me in a unique position to help my clients. So that's another whole thing where I've done a ton of things related to divorce. And there was just an article in the Wall Street Journal last week saying, do you need a divorce advisor? And it was me and the IDFA quoted in the whole article about what to do. It was such a great article. And it talked about how I go to mediations with my clients. I am literally there. I am there as their trusted advisor with them, as their advocate, as their fiduciary. I do more than the attorney does in most cases because A, I'm not billing per hour, and B, I'm their emotional support more than the attorney is. So, and then I get them on the other side of that. And I used to call it a trauma bond, which is a negative word. Now I call it a resilience bond. Because we get from falling apart with the divorce to the beautiful sunshine on the other side. And I got them from A to B and they will never forget it. And they're tied to me with my resilience bond forever because they know that because I got them there.
This is gold. This is gold. So what percentage of your clients would you say are divorced or have been through a divorce?
Oh, probably 40%. So pretty high.
Okay. That's pretty high. Well, okay. So your marketing story is truly one of organic growth. Like you have never hired a marketing team. You must hire people to do graphic video editing and all that, right?
Not really. I mean, I have somebody who sometimes puts together graphics for me, but lately I've been trying AI and AI has been doing it for me on graphics. So but I do have a graphics person and I do have somebody that manages my website but I tell them like what to do and what to put it and what to add and things like that. So I do have somebody to help me with that, but I am pretty much doing almost all the marketing myself. Now, the only other issue is my current firm, we're having some marketing challenges. And so I have been not doing my normal social media stuff over the past couple of months, which has been unfortunately hurting me. But what I've been doing instead is I've just been reposting everybody else's stuff about me. And so nobody knows I'm not posting.
That really is a challenge with joining a firm, right? Now, just describe your current situation. You have your own firm, but you're a part of Ashton Thomas. Tell us how that works.
So it's so funny because that's the other question that I ask the young girls or young advisors. It doesn't have to be girls, but usually I'm talking to girls and women. And I always say, do you own your clients? And most of the time they say no, or I don't know. And if the answer is I don't know, then the answer is no, you don't own the clients, right? So because of what I went through at Goldman Sachs, the owning of the clients is the most important piece for a financial planner, advisor, what we do for a living. So owning the clients gives you the right and part of your net worth statement. It is your asset. When you work for another firm, then usually the firm owns the clients. And so you have to have a delineated agreement showing who owns the clients. And it's incredibly important. I've spent way too much money with attorneys on this after what happened with the United Capital Goldman deal. Again, I write about it in the book, but it's a very complicated story. But so I currently own my practice and my clients. And so my choice was start my own firm again or affiliate with another firm and just pay them a percentage to use their stuff. And so right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm affiliated with Ashton Thomas. I still own my clients. I pay them to use their stuff. So and
what is your firm name? Is it Ashton Thomas or do you have your own DBA?
So I could have had my own name, but I just thought it was easier to just use theirs because I'm still using Cary Carbonaro. And so because my name was big enough, I didn't think I needed to have another firm name on top of my name. So I just didn't do it. But I'm always sort of like, should I have my own firm? Should I not have my own firm? Should I have my own firm? Should I not have my own firm? And I'm always weighing the pros and cons of that. And it's a very difficult decision.
Well, yeah, because you're getting a lot of support and you'd have to do everything yourself. Like I'm an independent RIA. I do everything myself. It's definitely challenging. It's rewarding as hell, but I see why you would make that choice. When a client comes, when you acquire a client, how do they find you usually in your current setup? Is it through your Cary Carbonaro website? Do you get any through the Ashton Thomas affiliation?
I have never gotten a client through my firm ever in my life, ever. Never been handed a client, got an orphan client, never in my life. Every single client of mine has been self-sourced 100% my whole life. So it's funny to me when I hear people who have that and I'm like, I can't even imagine that. Like it's never happened to me. So for example, my two latest clients, one came to me because she listened to me on a podcast called Catching Up with FI. And she liked what I said. And she's a high earning woman, doctor, over $1 million. And she was like, I need you because you know my situation. You talk to people like me, you know people like me, you work with people like me. So she hired me for that as soon as she heard my conversation. My second new client that I just recently got was my existing client is her mom. And she I just met the mom in person because she lives overseas in London. And she was over there. I was over there over the summer and I got to meet with her in person, which was fantastic. First time I got to meet with her in person, even though she's been my client for a while. And I gave her the book, my new book, and she loved it and she read it. And then she gave it to her daughter and she loved it and read it. And then her daughter hired me.
Okay. So the book is a marketing tool as well. It's not just.
Well, I didn't really think I didn't make it for that. Like I didn't write it to get clients, because technically it's for the industry, but I guess it's a byproduct, I guess.
So, okay, you've done so many things in this industry today. You've now got a new book out, which is, I know you're very passionate about it, and it's taken up a lot of your time. I'm sure you're all over the place promoting the book, and people want to hear what you have to say. You're on a lot of podcasts. Are you personally very satisfied with this moment in your career in life? Or what do you see happening that may make you even happier and more fulfilled?
So I am very happy right this moment in time. Like everything is perfect. However, I'm one of those, like in Hamilton, I will never be satisfied. Like that's me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is literally me. I will never be satisfied. So what would be better for me is if I can get on bigger stages and reach more men. And it's interesting because, the name of the book was Compel Her, Don't Sell Her. And then Wiley changed it to Women in Wealth. And just that title turns men off because they're like, not for me. So I have to reposition this somehow to get to the men and reach the men, because I really want to change the profession, and I really want to change the way the men work with women and teach them how to work with women. And so if I can accomplish that, then I really will be where I wanted, it will have accomplished the goal that I want to accomplish, which is completely change the industry, which is a big goal.
That is a huge goal, but I think it's a worthy goal, a totally worthy goal. So what's your next step in reaching that goal? I mean, you've got the book, you're out publicly speaking as much as you can. Is it getting on bigger stages?
So I just got, which I'm super excited about, I'm getting a professional video from the CFP conference, where I did the keynote, and I finally have a professional video of me doing a keynote. Now, I should have had it years and years ago, but everything has gone wrong. And now I finally am getting it. So I'm getting it. So now I can actually get on speakers bureaus, and I'm going to be working with, a consultant to change my message to reach men better. So I'm working on all of it. I'm just not there yet.
Is that what you want to be your legacy? Would you say you would want to be known for that?
Yes, I would want to be known for the woman who made it better for women in wealth management. That would feel like because that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what motivates me. I want to make it better for women. I want to make this industry better for women. It has so much potential to be amazing for women. Women, I always say that money equals power, and women need more of both. Women need more power and more money. And this is the best way to do it, is right here with wealth management.
I cannot think of a better follow-up and a way to end this podcast than with that statement. Is there anything else that, before we end this, that you would like to share? And please know, show notes, we're going to include the name of your new book. And also you had an original book too in 2015. What was the name of that book?
That was called The Money Queen's Guide for Women Who Want to Build Wealth and Banish Fear. And that was for the general public. It's a basic financial planning, 101, what you do in your 20s, what you do in your 30s, what you do in your 40s, what you do in your 50s, and what you do in your 60s.
Okay, fantastic. And also we'll post some of your best YouTubes. Will that keynote be somewhere that people can view?
So hopefully, I don't have it yet, but I would definitely like to put some snippets up either on LinkedIn or my website, so hopefully people can see it, because it's quite good.
Okay, great. All right, Cary. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the 20% podcast. It has been a pleasure talking to you. I know your thoughts and experience are going to be so helpful to the listeners. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I'm looking forward to seeing you more out there in the industry and at events.
Me too.
Okay, Cary. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star review. It helps more women advisors discover the strategies and stories we share each week.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. This podcast does not engage in rendering legal, financial, or other professional services.